I would like to introduce the founder of the WalkAway campaign, Brandon Straka.
Thank you, guys. Wow. I don't have like the heart to live on Atlanta time. I don't think you got. I was so stressed out. I know. I was like, oh my God, no one's coming. No one's coming. Look at it. We have an amazing full house. This is incredible. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. We are starting a little bit late, so I'm going to make this really quick. There's still people coming in. You guys come on in. Don't worry. We're just getting started. No big deal. I'm going to really quickly open by just saying a couple of comments about what's going to happen tonight and then introduce a couple of people to make some opening comments. So what we are, the WalkAway campaign. I am, for anyone who doesn't know, the former liberal who walked away from the Democratic Party, walked away from liberalism, and wasn't content to do it by myself. I decided to take half the country with me. So I started a campaign encouraging people to leave the Democratic Party. Let me just tell you real quick a couple of things, what we are and what we're not. What we are is a campaign that encourages all people, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, or any other identity groups that we splinter ourselves off into, to engage in critical thinking, to engage in individualism, to break free from the tribal identities that we find ourselves in today, and embrace your individualism and your American identity. We are all Americans. We are all one big family in this country. Here's what WalkAway is not: a hate group, a neo-Nazi hate group, white supremacist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic. We're not any of that stuff. But if you read a lot of the stories in the news, you wouldn't know that. We are actually a movement for all people to come together regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation. We are the movement for all people to come together in civility and unity. We want to live in a country where we can have open, peaceful dialogue and exchange of ideas. I can believe what I believe, you can believe what you believe, but we can still be friends, we can still be a family. That's what we want in the WalkAway campaign. So that's why I'm doing this event tonight. I'm not Michelle Pfeiffer. This is not Dangerous Minds. I'm not some white person coming into the black community trying to fix the black community, thinking that I know better than everybody else knows. That's not what's going on here tonight. We recognize in the WalkAway campaign that there are different minority groups in this country who have been targeted and marketed to by the Democratic Party. And let's just go ahead and acknowledge the elephant in the room. The Republican Party is lousy at communicating with minority groups in this country. Lousy. But we don't even tell you have to become a Republican. There are people in the WalkAway campaign who are independents, who are libertarians, who have just had enough and have decided to be apolitical. Some of them are Republicans. Some of them love our president. Some of them don't love our president. It doesn't matter. You can believe whatever you want to believe. You can make up your own mind. But for God's sake, you don't have to be a Democrat just because of the color of your skin. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. So with that, I want to introduce two people to help open up tonight. The first is a woman who's actually the star of our film tonight. So we're going to be showing a short film made by the WalkAway campaign. It was created entirely using the WalkAway testimonials of 20 black Americans who have left the Democratic Party and are telling their stories why. And Krisha Hughes is with us here tonight. Come on up here, Krisha. She's in the film, and she's here to make some opening comments. So what we're going to do tonight is do a screening of the film for you all to watch. Listen, you may see things that you agree with. You may see things you don't agree with. This is a town hall. You get to stand up afterwards, make your voice heard, argue, debate, comment, ask questions. We have an amazing panel that it's going to join us when the film is over. That'll be your moment to make your voice heard. What I will say is I'd like each panelist to be allowed the respect of talking for 5, 6, 7 minutes, telling their stories. Everyone will get a turn to talk. Then we're going to throw to you guys, and we want to hear from all of you. With that, please welcome Krisha Hughes.
Hey, everybody. I did not know. Hey, let's get real. I literally just one afternoon having a yard sale, got a phone call. Krisha, do your WalkAway story. What am I going to talk about? Yourself. almost collectively 4 million views later. Who would have thought some little country girl from the state of Georgia was going to have a viral video for the reason of why she walked away? And I walked away because of God, family, country, and President Trump in that order. You know, everybody's saying, what are you going to do after President Trump wins the election again? The first three never change. The first three are fighting for God, because we've seen what happened to the Democratic Party last week. They have completely taken him out of their platform. My family, I'm a woman that had the first child at the age of 15 and number 4 at the age of 20. And if I could get out the projects and become a number and just defy logic, then why can't you? And I'm sorry, but my number 3 for me is my country. It's that simple. Why we fight? God, family, country, and the greatest president of my lifetime, President Donald J. Trump. I'm not here to argue with anybody. I could care less about your beliefs, but as long as you believe in those first 3, then you're my brother and my sister. I don't care which side of the bed that you sleep on. I don't care of what side of the fence you want to swing your bat. But don't lock us up in a corner and attack us and call us dredges to society, deplorables, super predators, overpaid babysitters, everything else that the media, the politicians, and the celebrities have called. I'm sorry. I'm fighting for my nation because my 7 grandchildren expect no less. So for Brandon to step out on faith, because you know he was going to get attacked. You know Brandon was going to get attacked. He's gay and he white. Holy crap. That right there is strike number 1, 2, 3, and then he support our country on top of that. He is the most hated man in America. A gay man that can't shut up, a gay man that can't sit down, and a white man that don't know his place. So if you're wondering exactly what you need to walk away from, look around you. Right now, people are using emotions. Use logic. Use logic of knowing exactly who you're fighting for. And that's for your Lord and Savior, well, mine anyway. Who else am I fighting for? I'm my only grandchildren's mentor, plus their parents. And what else? Because if we don't have a nation and we don't elect Donald Trump again, I don't care what racial divide or political divide you're on. But for a man that's never sat in a politics chair before to get labeled for everything that happened 30 years ago, I'm sorry. I would rather stand behind Donald Trump than anybody else. So y'all give y'all support to Brandon. Where he going after this, we have no idea. But I'm going to follow him as long as it's not over a cliff. So other than that, walk away.
Thank you. A white man who doesn't know his place. The best introduction I've ever gotten. Please welcome Shelly Winter, who I need to say was so helpful to us doing this event. I mean, he was really beyond being a point person in Atlanta, Georgia. This guy really, really helped make this event a success. Please welcome our friend and family, Shelly Winter, please.
My name is Shelly Winter. Real quick, I got 2 minutes because Krisha took up all my time. So, real quickly, I'm on WSB. We're filling in. They're building a show. The only show you'll ever hear like this in Atlanta. My co-host is Milani Kai. Please stand up. Show everybody what you look like. I walked away a long time ago. I was raised in a West Indian family. If you know anything about West Indians, you'll know that I was told from the very day I went to school for the first day, my grandmother told me I had to outwork everybody else. And she made me press my pants every day. She made me make my bed. She made me do everything the right way from the very beginning. Now, I strayed from that. I strayed very far from that. But when I got to of an old age, I realized that all those ways worked. All those conservative ways worked. It worked to be married. It worked to stay in school. It worked to get a job. It worked to work hard. It worked to go to church. It worked to believe in God or a mosque. Whatever it is that you believe in, it worked to believe in something higher than yourself. And those ways worked. Somehow, the Democratic Party got us away from all of that. They went south, north, west, east, and west. They went away from what we knew worked. And it worked from the day someone said, hey, you're free. It all worked. Family, God, country, all of it has worked and has continued to work. And somehow, some reason, we got away from that, and we see the nihilism that exists in our country now, in our community, more importantly, right now. So what I want to say to you all is I'm a conservative. I've probably been a conservative all my life, but I became very liberal, and I realized when I became liberal with my thoughts, everything got destroyed in my life. When I became conservative in my life, when I went to church, when I believed in God, when I got on my knees and prayed, when I respected my family, when I respected my community, all of a sudden, my life changed. And so I will tell you this. The Bible says if you raise a child up in the word, they won't stray from it. Well, for me, the word is conservatism. You can stay where you want. You can vote who you want to vote for. But I will tell you this right now. Telling me that there are 47 genders does not say anything. There's no place in the Bible that it says that. Telling me that you can have several women and several wives and several husbands and you can switch beds every chance you get does not work for me. Telling me that you can stay unmarried as a single mother for the rest of your life and raise three children with different fathers does not work for my community. And it's being proven every day. So tell your friends, they don't have to become Republicans, but they do have to become conservative because that is what brought us out of the worst times in our history in this country. My name is Shelly Winter. Please listen out for me and Milani Kai on WSB. Oh, by the way, sorry, last thing, go to youtube.com, put in Shelly Winter, and please subscribe to my YouTube page. Thank you.
What'd you guys think of the movie? I've only seen it about 75 times, and I still cry at the end every single time. It's such a great... Mike Boss is a member of the WalkAway campaign. He lives in Los Angeles, California, and he made the movie, and I think he did an amazing job. With that, let's meet our incredible panel for tonight. Well, I guess I'll introduce everybody in this direction. The first panelist tonight is a young lady who I saw on Twitter probably about a year ago. I thought she was hysterical. She's so funny, so pointed, and has such an incredible take and point of view, and she herself, I think, walked away. But I guess we'll find out tonight. Shamika Moore, can you come down, please? Shamika Michele. Where did Moore come from? Shamika Michele. And beside me right here, this guy, I started WalkAway, but this guy is really the OG of the WalkAway campaign. YG, the OG, YG Nyghtstorm. I promise you really don't have to love President Trump if you don't want to. It is a choice. Okay, and over here to my left is a guy who had a very tough year, but it meant a lot to him to be here tonight and come, and it means so much to us that he joined us. He recovered from a horrible, horrible accident, and we love him so much. Terrance Williams, please come over here. Terrence is a comedian. He's hysterical, and yeah, I mean, thank God he recovered from that horrible, horrible accident.
Thank you, thank you.
The next panelist I'm really, really excited about because he is just a brilliant young guy. I find him so impressive. To be honest, I didn't know how young he was when I asked him to join the panel. He just turned 15 years old. Chandler Crump is here with us tonight. Woo, woo. You've probably seen this kid in some YouTube videos. He's brilliant. And I think he represents a really unique point of view. Wanted to have him here. And finally, two new friends of mine who are married or engaged. They're getting married Saturday? Getting married Saturday. Yeah. They are native Atlantans, and they come from an organization called Speak Georgia. It is Janelle Jones and Kelvin King. So I think what we want to do tonight is we'll just start with Shemeka and give each panelist about 5, 6, 7 minutes to tell the audience anything they want, whether it be their walkaway story or anything they want to convey. At that point, we're going to open it up, do a true town hall, and hear from you all. We want to hear. I know I saw somebody around here with a Never Trump shirt or I hate Trump or something. Definitely want to hear from you. And with that, why don't we start with Shamika Michele?
Good evening, everyone. So I am actually registered unaffiliated. However, my walkaway was in thought because I've always voted Democrat. I can remember being 6 years old when Ronald, well, I didn't want to tell my age, I'm sorry. I was 6 months when Ronald Reagan won the presidency. And I can remember my family just being so upset and saying, oh my goodness, the Antichrist has been put into office. And so I thought, I'll never graduate high school, I'll never get married, I'll never have children. Like, I thought it was the end of the world by the way my family was responding. So when I was old enough to vote, I knew I had to vote Democrat just because of the things that I had been told over the years growing up. So I always voted Democrat. I don't even understand how I registered unaffiliated. Like, I was shocked. I went to change it, and they were like, you're registered unaffiliated. I'm like, how? I'm a Democrat. And so I always voted Democrat. And so when in 2016, I can remember standing in the voting booth, and I knew I was not going to vote for Hillary. Just the things that she had said about calling black men super predators and being a supporter of Margaret Sanger, I knew there was no way she was getting my vote. So I stood there, and I liked Trump. Like, I would listen to him in the debates, but I wasn't fully, ready to take that step. So I actually voted for Jill Stein. And then the next day, I remember watching people completely fall apart. And, just being so upset and being so hateful towards one another and saying, if you voted, even if you voted third party, you're responsible and I'm removing you as a friend. And I'm thinking, we've been friends for 30 years, but you want to just, do away with that because of a vote? Like, you're gonna be okay. This is not gonna affect you. And I can even remember my aunt telling me before elections, you have to vote for Hillary because if not, this is gonna be, worse than the Holocaust for black people. And so it was just, amazing to me the things that people were saying, and I couldn't understand it. And so I really, I do videos on Facebook and now on Twitter because Facebook has kicked me off. And I didn't understand what was happening. I was against abortion. I remember being kicked off because I said Father's Day was for men. When, and I'm thinking, yeah. And so when they had the women did the march in Washington, I believe it was 2017, the January after, Trump won, I wrote this article and I was blasting them for, doing it. I thought it was stupid. And I got a call from a reporter at the Wall Street Journal and I said, they're calling me? Like, I must be onto something. And I just, I always spoke against feminism. I have no problem being a woman. Like, I have no problem with men being men. And I'm thinking, what is this, toxic masculinity that they speak of? Like, I like that, And so once I got kicked off Facebook, I was thinking, I just had no idea why, and why people were coming at me and fussing at me and calling me out of my name, and so my friend, I was so sad about it, and I was like, well, I can't post videos to Facebook, and she said, you just care about Facebook because you get to see what's going on with people that we grew up with. Start putting your videos on Twitter, and so that's what I did, and I started to notice that the people reaching out to me and starting to follow me were conservatives. And so I was like, well, I've been saying the same thing my whole life. I assumed, though, however, wrongly, that who I was voting for believed what I believed. I thought they had the same values that I had, and I was wondering, well, I'm voting, everyone I know is voting, why am I seeing the world change and pretty much, to me, go to shit? And so I, finally realized I had been voting wrong. I had no idea that I was voting Democrat and they believed something totally different from what I believed, and so for me, like I said, walking away was more of a mindset because I was never registered Democrat, but that is who got my vote each and every election. And when I talk to people, I was with a group of women not too long ago, and I said, I want to get y'all together before 2020 and talk about politics. And she said, I don't do politics. And I said, but you vote. I see your picture on Instagram and Facebook. I voted, my sticker. And so that just confirmed to me that a lot of us go to the polls and we vote Democrat and we have no idea who we're putting in office. We have no idea what policies they believe in. We have no idea what values they hold. I know in my city, I used to get a sheet on from the Committee on the Affairs of Black People telling me who to vote for every time. I had no idea that I was putting the same people in office year after year that believe totally different from me. So that is my walkaway story. I am here to say I don't care who you vote for, but know who and what you're voting for. And I think that so many times we fail to do that. We fail to really look into what policies these people hold, and we put them in office year after year, and we are making huge mistakes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody? Come on, guys. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody? This is Atlanta, baby. All right, my name is YG Nyghtstorm, and I am the proud father of 9 children. And my youngest son is right there filming. So, Terrance, can you please stand up, please? And y'all give some love to my youngest. He's so big now. But let me tell you my story. And the reason why I am who I am is for 3 reasons. That's because I love God, I love my people, and I love my country. And let me get into why. Let me get into why. In 1992, I was 18 years old, and I was just coming out of high school. And I came from a broken family like most people. Mom and dad hated each other. There was war on each side, and I was caught in the middle. And I had this epic argument with my mom. And any parents out there who raise children, sometimes teenagers get on your nerves. Am I right or wrong? And teenagers, sometimes parents get on your nerves. But me and mom had one heck of an argument. And she kicked me out of her house. And I was literally homeless and sleeping on the streets of Atlanta. And I started off at 5 Point Station, and I would walk the streets at night trying to find food. I was hiding from the gangs who were doing initiation. If you're from Atlanta, you know sometimes when you're driving and you see cars with no lights on and you flick at the car, back in the day, the gangs would turn around and come after you and try to shoot you and kill you. That was their initiation. But the easiest form of initiation was them hunting down and killing homeless people because we had no identification. We had no one that cared about us. A lot of us was mentally ill and sick. We really didn't even know our name, so we were soft targets. But anyway, some of the gangs were chasing me from 5 Point Station, and then one night I ran from 5 Point Station all the way out here to Buckhead. And on the way, I was the typical homeless person. I was hungry. I was eating in trash cans. I even slept in a dumpster hiding from the gang. So, of course, I was funky and I stank. But I will tell you this. I had gotten found and they beat me up and they robbed me and they left me very, very hurt. And I was sleeping on the street and I was ready to die. And the gentleman pulled up, and I kid you not, it was an old school Rolls Royce from like around 1965. And it was a small Jewish guy, and he got out of the car, and he saw me, and he said, "Young man, are you cold?" Because it was very cold. It was starting to become, well, this is hot for September, but in the fall it was cold. And he said, "Are you cold?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you all right?" I said, "No." He said, "I want to tell you something. God loves you." And hold on, and I said, "What do you know about me? You are in a Rolls Royce. Your car probably costs $300,000. Why in the world are you trying to tell me that God loves me? My mama that kicked me out. My daddy was never there for me. I don't have anybody. I've been running for my life. I've been beat up. I've been literally urinated on by people. I've been sleeping in dumpsters, eating out of trash cans, and now I'm on the streets. Why do you say that God loves me? You do not understand what I'm going through." And he said, "Let me tell you something, young man. Right now you got this victim mentality, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you have judged me before you even knew me." He said, 30 years ago, I was sleeping in Chicago. I had gotten kicked out of my mom's house. I was sleeping on the street, and a rich black man got out of his car, stopped, came around and walked around to me and said, "Young man, are you cold?" He said, "I understand exactly what you're going through, but God got you." So what he did, he took his shoes off, and he had on a pair of Argyle socks. And he took those Argyle socks off, and he put them on my feet. And he said, "As sure as these socks cover your feet, God is going to cover your life. Now get up and get to work." So he drove off, and I'm like, forget that dude. But what it did, he planted a seed in me, and I wanted to get off the streets. And like I said, Phipps Plaza was here. I was actually eating outside in some of the garbage cans. I could sit there and walk into some of the cans that I was eating out of when I was 18. But I got to work, and I started getting 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, 5 jobs, working at the fast food places, cleaning up the bathrooms, wiping down the windows, and I started working my way up. And I worked my way up, and I actually made a deal with one of the drug dealers. I said, "Let me sleep in your crack house when it's raining outside, because I don't want to drown on the street. I ain't going to touch nothing. I ain't going to see anything. But is it possible I could sleep in your crack house?" He said, "Fine, don't touch nothing." So anyway, I was able to sleep there until the Red Dog Squad. How many of you know about Red Dogs in Atlanta? Okay, Red Dogs came in, raided the place. Everybody got arrested, and now I was homeless again. But I kept on working, and I was able to go from the crack house to an apartment with rats and roaches. And then I kept on working. Then I was able to elevate to an apartment who just had roaches. The rats were gone, but I was elevating. And I was able to work a little bit harder to an apartment who just had mold. So no rats, no roaches, had mold on the wall, but I was elevating and moving up. And at the time, I was on food stamps, and I went in, and I talked to my caseworker to be reevaluated, and she said, "YG, how many jobs you got? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs. You're starting to make too much money for food stamps. We got to kick you off." And then I started crying. And she said, "No, YG, don't cry, because if you quit 4 of your jobs and just keep 1, you can stay on food stamps." And I said, "Ma'am, you're mistaken. These are not tears of sadness. These are tears of joy, because I no longer need you to feed me. I can stand on my own." And that's why I want to tell you, it was by the grace of God that pulled me from that situation, and I connected with fellow American citizens, black, white, Jew, Gentile, everybody in between, who saw a young man looking for an opportunity and said, "We're going to hire YG. We're going to give him this opportunity." And I worked. And as I worked and became more successful, now I own my own security company, and I travel around the world doing these talks about God. But let me talk about the people, because it was people, American citizens just like you, that saw me and didn't give me a handout, but gave me an opportunity because you loved me, regardless of what my skin looked like, regardless of what my hair looked like, even though it was nappy, and regardless of what I smelled like, even though I needed a shower sometimes. But I thank God for my country. I thank God for my people. And I thank God for you. So when I tell you, America, the American dream is real. And see, and that's my baby boy right there. And he is living his American dream. And it's passed on by generations. So we don't have to pass on generations of poverty, generations of welfare. We can pass on generations of American exceptionalism. We can pass on generations of faith. We can pass on generations of getting out here and making a difference, not only for ourselves, but for others. So I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to tell you, God bless you. We love you, and we really appreciate the work that you are doing to help people walk away. Amen?
Amen. Well, hello, everybody. Y'all having a good time? Well, I'm Terrance K. Williams. First, I want to give glory to God. Back in February, I was on my way to the White House. As soon as I got off the plane, I called my car service driver, and we didn't even make it to the hotel. And I ended up having surgery on my neck. I had a fractured C4, C5, C6. So I just want to thank God that I am here right now. I'm not complaining at all. And Brandon, thank you for inviting me out. But I want to be honest. I actually didn't come for WalkAway. I heard Atlanta had the best fried chicken in the world. So I said, you know what? I think I'm going to take that trip. You're not heard at all. Oh, Lord. But this is the first event I've been to this year since I've been healing. I'm still healing. So thank you again. But I walked away before 2016. Way before Hillary and all these Democrats started showing their true colors. I grew up in foster care. My mother had 9 children. She was addicted to drugs. I've been in over 10 to 15 foster homes. I didn't get adopted until I was about 14 or 15 or around that age. So nobody, and look at me today. I'm a comedian, successful. The president of the United States called me a well-respected person. So you cannot tell me that the American dream is not real. You cannot tell me that you cannot tell me that there are no opportunities for people of color in America. I was living in shelters, homeless shelters, living from home to home. And now I am very successful because America is what it is. And these Democrats want socialism. If I was a foster kid, if I was a homeless child in a socialist country, I would not be where I'm at today. So that's why I cannot support the Democratic Party at all. I'm not gonna lie, it's been very tough coming out as a conservative, as a free thinker. I've been banned from so many barbecues. Lord, and I miss them. I'm not gonna lie, I miss the barbecues. When I came out, they said, Terrence, you are kicked out the black community. And I said, well, I'm kicked out the black community. Well, what is the disadvantage? Huh? Because I never knew what the benefit was. And half of y'all owe me money, so I'm not going nowhere until you pay me back. Don't try to use Trump as an excuse not to pay me back my money now, okay? I'm not going nowhere. No, but anytime somebody tell me what I should be, no. I want to be what I want to be. You're not going to tell me because I'm black I'm supposed to be Democrat. And I just turned 28 last week. I'm a grown man. You are not about to tell me who to vote for. You don't pay my bills. You don't pay my cell phone bill, my automobile, my house note. So you will not tell me who I should be voting for at all. And I'm not telling anybody to walk away and join the Republican Party. You can walk away and go wherever you want to. But if you are in a bad relationship with somebody, if somebody's always lying to you, always making promises, never follow up to, well, what you gonna do? You gonna stay? No, you're gonna walk away. How many people here have been in a bad relationship and they're no longer with their ex? Huh? Come on now. And you walked away, right? Because you was tired of the lying, tired of stealing or whatever. You have to walk away. So I'm just saying, if you are in a bad relationship with a party, Republican or Democrat, run away. That's all I got to say.
Well, to say the least, YG and Terrence are a very hard act to follow. They both have super interesting stories to tell. I'm 15 years old, and I don't have nearly as much life experience as these two men do. Even if you combine my life experience, I wouldn't have half as much as YG or Terrence, and I don't have a story to tell. But what I do want to tell you is that the future of America is bright, and you may not think so. And you may not think so. Because you look at this young generation of kids and you think, wow, look at these kids. They're all socialists. They're all Democrats. They're marching out here with their gender pronouns. Oh, I'm not he, him. I'm she, her, HIR, or something like that. But we're not like that, okay? We're not being reported, is what I'm saying. A lot of us Gen Zers are conservatives and we don't even know it. And you don't know it either. But when there's more and more kids like me coming out here to speak to you guys, you're gonna realize it. Don't be surprised when we're out here and when we're making change in this country. Like I said, I don't have much to say, and I want to hear some of these other panelists speak and give their stories, and so I'm going to leave it there, but there's a lot coming. And I really thank Brandon for giving me a chance and letting me come on this panel, and I'm excited to tell you guys what's going on.
I think you're awesome.
Awesome.
This guy's 15 years old, and he's up here involved. Give this man a round of applause. 15?
Yes, yes.
Well, I certainly want to hear from Chandler. So my story is a little interesting, a little different, because I wasn't raised in a family where I was told that I need to vote Democratic. I was not. I was told that you can do whatever you want to do. My parents never explained to me what they voted or where they voted or anything, for that very reason, that they wanted us to be free thinkers and open-minded. So I didn't understand the value in that until much later. When I was in college, I went to a HBCU, or historically black college. I went to North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride. And while I was there, I remember, there was a campaign that came to our campus and said that we are doing nonpartisan voter registration. And I was like, okay. So I noticed when I looked around, there was a big O on everything. And I was like, okay, this is nonpartisan, but your logo resembles the Obama logo. So I was kind of confused, and I'm like, so if this is supposed to be nonpartisan, why does it seem like there's nothing but Democrats here? Again, at this time, I didn't know that it was uncool to be a Republican that's black. So I was just thinking, okay, so went on with that, everything happened. I was still a little confused, but anyway, that's what kind of woke me up to the political process. From there, I started doing my research after President Obama's first election. I did my research, and I looked at just the basic core values of the Republican Party versus the Democratic Party. Again, I didn't have any allegiance to either one of them. From doing my research, I noticed that the Republican Party was much more in alignment with everything that I was taught as a child, which was obviously free thinker, obviously, smaller government, which was something that my parents always talked about in some way or another without relating it to politics in general. When it came down to, being able to do whatever you want to do, I was never told that I had to work twice as hard to do anything. I was told that if you worked hard, period, if you had a vision and if you had a plan, then you can produce whatever it is you want to produce. That's why America is so amazing. And then I was also told that when it comes to education, that I shouldn't have to be forced into an education system or into a school, but I should have a choice as to where I want to go. And that no matter what I do while I'm in that system, what's important is that I learn, that I become educated, and that most importantly, I understand people. And that's something I was taught. So from there, I was just like, okay, well, clearly I'm not a Democrat. And clearly I'm a Republican. So it wasn't until I graduated from college, I moved to Georgia, and I've been here now since 2007, moved to Georgia, and I decided that I wanted to work in the political world. I just wanted to assist with a campaign. Well, I met a gentleman named Earl Cooper who was running for a commissioner seat, and I realized he was a black Republican. Now, I didn't know at this time, I still didn't know that black Republicanism was a thing. So, so I was like, oh, okay, it's someone that I share the same values with. I'm gonna work on his campaign. Well, he put me in South Fulton, which for those, well, all of you here, most of you here are from Georgia, but he put me in South Fulton, which was highly Democratic area, and said that, you were going to pass out my flyers and, knock on doors. Well, that's when I realized that this was a thing. So I got so many questions. It was just like, well, why are you a Republican and you're black? And I just couldn't understand what my color or my race had to do with my political values or my core values. So I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, why should I be a Democrat? Because I'm black? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. So I've always been pretty logical and a little strategic. But so I started, again, I said, well, let me look at race in the political party. And that's when I really realized how bad this thing was. But in my research, I also went all the way back to when African Americans were Republicans. And then I looked at the time when everything switched a little bit. And then what really stuck out to me was Lyndon B. Johnson in 1964 when he was elected. And from my strategic mind kind of turned on a little bit. And I said, well, heck, this makes sense, right? It makes sense for him to cater towards the black community because the black community at that time was the vote that was necessary to win elections. So it wasn't that the strategy was necessarily to benefit black people. It was mostly to just get your vote, which really hasn't changed much since 1964. So after continuing to do my research, I realized that when people ask the question, when was America great? Well, I always say to myself, well, it had to have been before Lyndon B. Johnson took black people out of neighborhoods and put them in cinder block buildings called the projects, and then told moms that if you want to get assistance because you weren't making enough to take care of your family, then we need to remove the father out of the house. And then once we remove the father out of the house, that opens you up to crime because there's no men on the street that can protect the families in the neighborhoods. And then the neighborhoods becomes completely disarray. And now you have communities of people that look like all of us that says, now we have all these communities of people that have no hope, no future, doesn't understand what family looks like, can't feel being told that because of racism and all of these issues that and there are still racism still here. However, back then it was a real thing, and they were told that because of that you will never be anything. And then you build generations of individuals had lived with this mindset. And then you grow up and you become adults. These children become adults who now tell that to their children, who tell that to their children. And now you have what we have today, which is black people who have no idea why they vote Democrat at all, simply because all they do is what they were told. And so my role, after doing all of that, I felt like it was my duty to not only be a black voter, but to be an individual and a black woman who can stand up and say, this is wrong. You can no longer use my community as a social experiment for all of your plans and projects and programs, but that we are individuals who are strong, who came from people who fought for the right for us to be successful in America. We built America. How is it that we don't have a right to it? So that is where I get all of my passion from as it relates to policy and politics. So from there, I started working on campaigns. I started assisting, and then I started running campaigns. And then I found myself last year as the Deputy State Director of the Georgia Republican Party, and where we helped to get Governor Kemp elected, who is our current governor, doing a great job. After that, during that time, I met my honey over here. who I was just like, woo, another black Republican. And he fine. I was like, woo, thank you, Lord. So, and after that, you know, we started working together. We were just friends for a long time, which is, I advocate for that before marriage, is to be friends first. We were just friends, and he became a sounding board, and we talked, and we just started like turning our kitchen table talks into what we call Speak Georgia, which is now a town hall that we host. We've hosted two, getting ready to do our third one in October. We haven't released that yet, but we already have our speaker. And our town halls are similar to this. We simply talk about hard topics, and we let the audience produce the questions, and we put the subject matter experts in the hot seat, and they give us the answers. And so we did that, and now, and that led to the Georgia Gang. So I'm on a TV show called The Georgia Gang that comes on every Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. They will appreciate that plug. And where we talk about politics. And I'm always that wild card, because you can't come to me with racism. You can't say I'm a racist, because I believe in strong policy. And I love our president. Our president's done amazing things. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the questions that will come from the audience will allow me to talk more about that. So I'm going to pass it over to my honey.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Hi, I'm Kelvin King. My story is somewhat unique or similar in some areas, unique in others. I'm a Georgia native. I'm a Georgia boy, born in Macon, Georgia, to a mother that was 15 years old, and she made the right decision. Thank you, Mama.
Thank you, Mama.
I eventually, I was into sports. I made really pretty good grades growing up, and I was able to get an appointment to the Air Force Academy. That's where I graduated in '96. So I'm the same age as you. I didn't know a whole lot about the military going in, but my family was extremely supportive. I was a Democrat-minded, like most of us were back then, but I was a conservative principle. I was raised with all the conservative principles that we talk about today, but for some reason I voted Democrat. But what changed was while at the academy. There, it's a very difficult school to get into, and there were a lot of folks from all across the spectrum, the socioeconomic spectrum. It's mostly white. I was raised in Atlanta, where it's a lot more balanced. But at the academy in Colorado, it's mostly white. It's about 7 or 8% African American, and some things kind of availed themselves to me while there. I guess first is it was very hard for everybody there. I don't care where you came from or what color spoon was in your mouth. It was difficult for everyone. And I actually did better than some of the people that I thought were, frankly, I thought they were privileged. I thought they had, more or better or a leg up or what have you. And during that time, I learned a lot about my history, my black history also. A lot of folks do that in college. That's when they really learn about themselves. And I was going through that whole process myself. But I was also seeing that I don't really see that difference between me and that other person. The racism is real, but in that particular setting, it was control and merit won the day. So it was all about merit. If I work harder than you, then I'm going to do better than you. And I saw that, and I liked that principle. And I was raised strong Christian. I was raised believing in self-defense. My grandmama had a gun. My great-grandma had a gun. Like we were raised that way. We were proud of our humble beginnings. And we were proud of the fact that we could figure out things with our own. My grandmother taught me how to save money. My grandmother taught me how to, make $10 and put $2 to the side. Those are principles that they taught me, and to reduce your taxes and that sort of thing. But anyway, I started seeing this in the academy. I'm like, dang, man, am I a Republican or am I a Democrat? I was getting kind of confused because all the principles were conservative principles. Well, so my first time voting was not for a Republican. It was for William Jefferson Clinton, because I didn't know any better. But as I matured in thought, and after I graduated the academy, I learned how the real world works, and I wanted to work on the Republican side because I believed in strong defense. Obviously, I was an Air Force officer. I believed in strong defense. I believed in freedom. I believed in self-determination and freedom of thought. And those principles align with the Republican Party. So that's when I first started voting. You know, I kind of put my toe in the water. I voted for certain local elections, Republican here, then a Democrat here, then a Republican here. And then I started my own company. And it just changed everything, my whole view. Because America is an enterprise society, right? That's the whole point of America. When America is described on, I think it was like on the CIA's website, it's an enterprise-based society. So now I believe in those strong moral principles, my religion, obviously birth, because my mom had to make that decision and she made the right one. Again, I want to give you props for that, Mama. And enterprise, like I wanted to learn business, and because that's what America is. So I had no choice to become a Republican. And I've been a very staunch Republican from that point on. And I've been lucky enough to get success. I started my company in my bedroom, and I moved to the basement and grew it into an $8 million company out of my basement. And then I bought a building over by the Braves Stadium. Now I have employees, I have 150 subcontractors. We were the 100 fastest growing companies in Atlanta, and this year we got the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in America. And things are going well, and I don't want to pay extra taxes if I don't have to. But on the other side, I'm providing jobs. My office manager is about to pay for a house. One of my project managers, he bought a new truck. He sent his kids to private school, and I'm providing all that stuff because of the American dream and because of the American principles. So that's my quick story. And to put the cherry on top. And put the cherry on top, and because she's wearing red, I found a beautiful black Republican and wife, soon-to-be wife, and now we started Speak Georgia, and we're about to make some things happen in Georgia and the country, so just stay tuned.
Power couple.
Thank you, everybody. That was great. I have to hit you up for a donation later. Sounds like things are going pretty good.
Well,
WalkAwayCampaign.com. So we're gonna open up and throw it out to you guys now for questions. Just quickly before we do that, I actually wanted to ask Chandler a question, if I may. At your age, I guess a couple of questions. First of all, why do you care about politics at your age? Why do you consider yourself a conservative? And how did the kids at school treat you because of that?
Okay, so I'm gonna first start with the first one. So when Barack Obama was elected, I looked at his skin color, looked at mine, I said, that's amazing. And then the years went by, and I looked at my community. There's this building I saw, and it started building, and then when like a year into Obama's election, it stopped. And then it never started building again until a year after Trump's election. He was inaugurated, the economy came back, that building started building again. Wow. And I noticed that my community started improving again, new buildings everywhere. And I realized something. I realized it matters who's in office. And after that, I was just like, I've been lied to, and I know there's other kids my age that don't care, and I want to inspire them to care, because when you start young, it gives you as much time as humanly possible to formulate your opinions, because I know a lot of the people in the crowd, people on maybe even panelists, they started late. They walked away late. But when you walk away earlier, it gives you more time to walk, gives you more time to think.
Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff.
The second one was why I'm a conservative. Why am I conservative is because I think with this and not this. I think with this and not this. Sorry, I took the mic away, but yeah. And so that's a simple answer. I could go into more in depth, but I think that's the best answer I could give right now. And how did the kids at my school treat me? They treated me pretty well, but I know that's because the area I'm in, it's Georgia, it's a red state, and not a lot of kids will be that bad to me. But the people I knew online were the people that were mean to me. Like, I had this one LGBT friend of mine, and after he saw my videos, my YouTube videos, Chandler, Crump, check me out on YouTube. Thanks for the free plug. But after he saw my videos, saw the slightly offensive stuff I did, he cut me off completely. And There's plenty of other people like that, and I know there's kids at other schools where they're more active and they're more political, and they just got bullied and all that. There's this girl I know named Jane. She had to leave her school because the kids found her support of Trump, and they just totally vilified her. And so I'm a lucky one, but I know that other kids, other Gen Zers that are young and that are active in politics and know where they are, it's just not good for them. Right. So I'm a lucky one, thankfully.
Can I say something real quick? Yeah. I am highly impressed. There are a lot of young black kids out here, a lot of kids, period, that are in the streets. They're not even thinking about their country. They're not looking at buildings and wondering why it stopped, and they're not noticing that. They're not thinking about the country, you know, and they falling behind musicians and actors. They're looking up to that, you know, and they're just not, and a lot of them are not focused because they're young. And this guy is 15. At 15, I wanted to be a thug. I wanted to sell drugs. I wanted to be Scarface, you know? So I give it, man, this kid needs a standing ovation. Oh my goodness, man. Let me stand up. Because, man, at 15.
All right, also, one quick thing. Where are your parents?
I was just about to get to that. There's only two people I can thank for that. My mom and my dad. Those are the most important things to a child. If you want your child to be looking at buildings, like you said, and thinking about things, you need the mother and the father, not the mother or the father.
Are
you
your
need
parents
the mother
here tonight?
and the father. What?
Are your parents here tonight?
Yes, they both are.
Where they at? Stand up, please. Stand up. Oh, yeah. Now, y'all give them a round of applause,
Yes.
please.
Thank you, mama.
Mom.
That's
and
a
dad.
great mama
Thank
right
you.
there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for what you have done. Thank you so much. God bless you and your family. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
are the man, brother. You my
I
hero.
would have been happy to have you as a foster mom when I was growing up in foster care.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
All right, so can we take some questions from the audience? Questions or comments? Right over here.
IG son, once again. And really, I wanted to give it up for Chandler. I was talking to him before this, and he reminded me a lot of myself at 15, because I grew up other than my father. It wasn't as complicated, to say the least. And so, but I grew up very diversified. I grew up with predominantly black area, then a predominantly white area. And I was, at 14, wanted to be Scarface and wanted to be a thug. But at 15, it kind of like had a switch, a light clicked. And my father had me talking in a lot of homeless shelters and doing a lot of events like this. And I would film for him like I was doing today. And I see myself in you, young man, and I applaud you for that, because I was ostracized and people would kind of push me away because I was doing something different, and it could be tough. So that's one. I wanted to applaud you on that. But anyway.
Where are those people now that ostracized you?
Exactly.
That's all you got to say.
Exactly, right? So give a hand for myself, too, because it took some fortitude. But the question I wanted to ask is, so I'm not a Democrat. Even though I wasn't raised in a Democratic house, but we kind of always assumed. And one thing about the video, at the end of it, I want to say I agree with you guys with a lot of things that has happened over lifetime. I have realized, especially growing up, that things are not what it seems. And I've had to learn that a lot of the time the hard way. When you believe in something, you believe in it so hard and passionate, and you see it, and once you kind of grow experience with it, it's like, wow, like this is not for me. And so, like I said, I've never been all the way to the left, all the way to the right. I've always been kind of in the middle with a lot of things. And, I remember, Brandon, you said in the beginning that Republicans haven't done a good job communicating with minority groups. So it's like when you have the Democrats who are always pouring in it, and it's like well, you guys should walk away, but it's like, where are we walking away to? And, you know, I'm glad that you guys are having these meetings and you guys are talking about it now, and you kind of giving information and background now. But if you don't give people the information or give them saying, hey, like, maybe you should look at what you're doing, if you never give them a choice, then they're automatically just going to assume to go to one direction. Right. So I'm not a...
It's not about the destination. It's the journey. Really.
Right, exactly. It's the journey. Some of the times, most of the time, people have to find out for themselves. I'm one of those people. You have to find out for themselves, and you know they don't really listen to reason. But for a lot of people, it's just them being in an ignorant state of mind, and ignorant not meaning bad, but just them not knowing. So if you don't know what the truth is, how would you ever expect somebody to reach the truth? So that's probably my only question or comment, really.
Could I comment on that real quick?
Of course.
Chandler actually made a very astute comment a minute ago, which is something that I say a lot in the WalkAway campaign, that WalkAway is a journey, not a destination. We don't tell people, we're not walking away from groupthink into more groupthink. You know what I mean? It's really about trying to encourage people to think for themselves, to do. I keep hearing everyone on this panel saying, once I did my research, once I did my research. Do your research. So many people don't. I'm one of them. I mean, I'm another person amazed by Chandler. I'm amazed by every person on this panel. I wasn't even very political well into my 30s. I was just voting Democrat because I was like, Republicans hate gay people. Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. But I didn't know what the Democrats actually, the history or what they stood for or what they believed in, anything. And you know, I kind of make this analogy that the Democrats are kind of like that witch in Hansel and Gretel. Like they kind of invite you in with the warm cookies and the sweets and stuff, and then they, you know, end up eating you in the end when they're all done. But you're right, because the Republicans aren't inviting us over at all. And it's sad. And I have to sometimes tell people, when I'm having conversations with them, if it is, say, a racial minority or an LGBT person, and if it's a one-on-one conversation, I never in a walkaway setting tell someone to become a Republican. But if we're having a conversation one-on-one, and they say to me, well, why should I become a Republican? You know, the Democrats do this, the Democrats do that. And I was like, well, they say that, but do they actually do any good for the communities? Do they actually help people? And I have to say to people, let me tell you right now, if the Republicans don't change their communication style, I can't guarantee you that the Republicans are ever going to make you feel good. You know, they might not. They might never talk to you. But you have to forget about looking at the government or a political party as your mom who's going to tuck you in at night with a blanket and make you feel good. At the end of the day, it's about the policies. Forget about the party. Forget about the Republican Party. Just look at the policies that are going to benefit your life. And forget about whether or not they're going to invite you in for cookies and tuck you in into bed at night, you know? But at the end of the day, it's like, what are the actual policies that you're voting for, and how is it going to benefit you as an individual?
Amen. Amen. And I want to jump on this real quick, because honestly, we are a real family. Terrance is not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. And even when we was breaking bread out there, we was having some conversations about immigration. We do not always agree. All of my children are adults. I do not force my views or my opinions on them. I just plant the seed and I allow them to research for themselves, but we do not allow politics to break up our family. And a lot of times, unfortunately, what we have, politics has broken up families, friendships, co-workers. But I tell all of my children, I say, look, you see what I do, and this is me. But it's up for you to find your own path and for you to do your own research, because I would never, ever want anyone to force their views on me. I would never, ever want anyone to sit here and tell me you have no choice but to do this because I'm your dad or I'm your mom. That's just another form of abuse. So I would tell you this, son, I'm very, very proud of you, and I appreciate the back and forth that we have, because trust me, sometimes we get into it. But it's the fact that we have young people coming up now who are bold, who are strong, who are opinionated, and do their research. And I honestly believe we have an incredible future ahead of us.
Amen.
Brandon. And I was going to also say this is why things like this are so important, because it gives people the opportunity to see the diversity and to see the difference. And that's why for me it's so important to speak up, because I understand, like, I was raised in the black community. I went to an all-black elementary, middle, high school, college, and I know that some of my friends don't want to hear from certain people. They don't want to hear somebody that talks like this. You know, they want to hear somebody that sounds like them, that looks like them, that has been through some of the things that they've been through. And so I think the more that we speak out and we speak up, they get to see, oh, a difference. Because as long as we stay quiet, they don't know. And so they think the Republican Party, you know, they think they're racist, they think they don't care. But when you see someone that you grew up with saying, no, listen to the values, look at the values, look at the policies, don't look at the people. And I tell people all the time when they say, well, Trump is a racist, and I say, you know, I don't know if he's racist or not. I really don't care. I'm not looking for a pen pal. I have friends. What I'm looking for is the policies that line up with the values that I have. I have children, and if you have children and you are worried about this generation coming behind us, you have to speak up and you have to speak out and you have to stand on what you believe in. And so it doesn't matter to me when people call me names. I will continue to speak up and speak out against the things that I don't believe in. I don't believe in, you know, women bashing men. I don't believe in women not having the fathers in the children's lives. I'm going to continue to speak out about those things. And for those that don't want to hear it from somebody else, guess what? You get to hear it from me. You want to hear it from somebody that looks like you? Here it is. And so I just encourage everyone to continue to just speak up and speak out so that people can see we are different. We are not all the same, and it's not what you've thought it was this whole time.
Brandon, can I say something? Yes, okay, or do you want to move on? Because I know we're... No. Okay, all right, I want to say something. So everything everyone is saying is right. I'm going to shake it up a little bit, just a little bit. Do it. So everything everybody's saying is right. Policy matters, conservatism, all of that, values. We've all said that a few times, right? So, but I want to talk about delivery. Okay, so, and I'm gonna, for the sake of this discussion, I'm gonna put us in two categories. Okay. So I'm gonna put us in the black category. Sure. So I'm talking to my black people. So when I'm talking to my black people, y'all, I'm gonna talk to y'all. Then I'm gonna talk to my non-black people. Okay? All right. So let me talk to my black people first. It matters to acknowledge your community. The reason why I say this is because too often do I see conservatives, African Americans, black, whatever you want to label it, talking to our community in a way as if we don't belong in that community. It's as if we don't understand the challenges or the reasons why a lot of black people, frankly, don't care at all about the Republican Party. It's as if we are completely oblivious to the issues that are happening in that community, because there are things happening that is going under the radar. There are schools that are continuing to fail. There are neighborhoods that are riddled with crime. There are people who are afraid every single day as to what their future looks like. And this is a reality, and it is real, and it happens in the black community every single day. And while I do believe, obviously, that conservative policies and is the way out, we have to find the light in order to get on the path. So if in a lot of these communities, a lot of people can't even find the light. When I go into my community and I talk to mothers and fathers who are like, I can't think about voting because I gotta keep the food on the table. I gotta work 2 jobs, so while I wanna be at the PTA meetings, I can't. While I wanna participate in the school board meetings, I can't. So when they have those type of discussions going on, we have to become real. We gotta understand that. We can't walk in our communities with our heads up so high that we can't see the struggle that's happening. That's first. Secondly, now I'm gonna talk to my non-black friends.
All right, talk to me.
Out there. Messaging delivery matters. One thing about our community is that we are a community of feelings and love and authenticity. we know when a white person or a Latino person is coming to our door, and I'll speak mostly to the white community because I think the Latino community kind of gets lumped in with us, right, Pam? But, but we know when there's a white person who comes to the door and knocks on the door and is selling a message of who just wants my vote, but has no clue about my community. We are fully aware. We can sense it in our bones. And the thing that irritates the black community the most about the Republican Party is that very issue right there, is that most of the time, we don't come into our communities unless we want our vote or unless we're handing out something. And that is frustrating. And it's upsetting. And before anybody can hear anything about your values or your policies or anything else, we want to hear your heart. We want to make sure that what you're doing is you're doing it because you actually see that the community is falling apart. And the reason why President Trump succeeded the way he did, even in a small margin with the black community, is because of when he said, what do you have to lose? When he made that statement, what that said to me was finally black people are not being lumped in the minority category, which gives you a means to overlook us. Because minority can mean anything. I heard one gentleman on a video say that a minority could be a hunchback, one-eyed. I mean, if you're only a few of you, right? Minority could be anything. So I need you to call out my community, call out the issues that are plaguing and directly plaguing my community. That's what our community responds to. And until the Republican Party and people who do not look like me understand that authenticity matters first, I don't think we're going to see any changes whatsoever.
Questions? I do. Oh, lots.
All right.
Who's running the mics?
Well, there's one mic, so I just gave mine away. Can I borrow yours till I get it? Thank you, sir. It's not working, sir. I'll be right there. Here you go. 1 minute.
Terrence,
I
love you, man.
Hey.
I love you.
I love you more.
You are hilarious.
Thank you.
And I love the humor, the sense of how you interact with us through Twitter and your videos.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Terrence, my question to you is, how, knowing your past of being a foster child and going through such a hard time, because I know I used to work for a homeless teenager out of control shelter.
Yes.
So I understand where you're coming from. So how do you pull all that together to come to us with this kind of messages? Could you tell us, what do you do so we can be in the same page, so we can reach others with the message?
Ooh, that's a good question. Don't know if my IQ can handle that.
Why are you so awesome, Terrence?
What was the question again? No, but so like, how did I overcome? You know what? God. First, God, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know. But I've been in so many homes that I learned from each home that I've been in. And it was actually an elderly couple that I stayed with. They were like in their 60s and 70s.
That's elderly?
Oh no! Oh, I'm sorry. What? I'm so sorry. What I call them Mama and Papa. I'm sorry, okay, but just because you 60 don't mean you. Why did you have to point that out? I apologize.
I thought that was elderly.
Okay. So I learned from my foster parents, Mama and Papa, the Solomons. They were older than me, of course.
Seasoned.
Yeah, they were seasoned, well seasoned. And of course, they were Democrats, but they had conservative values. And they were all about that the victim card was not played in that home. Soon as I get to, but I've been through this, but I've been through that. They didn't play all that. Just quit crying and complaining. If you cannot change complaining doesn't change anything. And if you can change it, don't complain, just change it. But if you can't change what's going on, then what's the point of complaining? But they always told me, you can be better than that. You can, just because your mother was on drugs, that does not mean you have to be on drugs. Just because your father went to prison, that doesn't mean you have to go to prison. Because I had a mindset, well, my daddy was a thug, so I'm gonna be a thug. You know, my siblings sold drugs, so I'm gonna sell drugs. No, you don't have to do that. You can do what you really want to do. And what I really wanted to do was be a businessman, a comedian, an actor. So I started going after what I wanted to do, and I stopped following behind people. I stopped, because that's what I did growing up. I've always followed behind people. I always looked up to the drug dealers, to, you know, the bad boys.
Scarface.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. When I wasn't looking at buildings, I wasn't looking at buildings. I was looking at booties. A bad kid. No, but you know, it was really just God. I tell you, because I also went to church. The homes that I was in, I was in church Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Every day was a cleanup day, rehearsal day, appreciation day. You know, so I think church helped out a lot because I learned a lot about God, and that gave me a lot of faith and a lot of hope. It's hard to explain how it really got me. I just pulled myself together. Just had to pull myself together. Stop playing the victim card. Yep. Thank you.
Question?
Up here.
How you doing, panel? Hey, I love you guys, all of you all. We appreciate you all.
We love you too.
My name is Charles Patrick. Let me give you a little bit of background about me. I'm 50 years old, so I'm pretty much older than everybody on the panel. Wow. All right? I'm from Decatur, Eastwick, Candler Road, if you know the area, flat shows.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Also the Meadow, East Lake area. So you know where I'm from, right? Yep. You know where I'm from, okay? Not a pretty area at times back in the day, but it is what it is. I voted since I was 18. I've never voted for a Democrat. Because what I was taught, we was always taught, well, they're both evil, vote for the lesser evil. So my silly mind back then calculated, well, these guys are running the neighborhood, so they're evil, meaning the Democrats. So the lesser evil got to be the other guys, Republicans. That's how I thought. The parties really, you know, the way people are, it hasn't changed. It's just a lot of us grew up and started understanding more. You know, like you say, well, the liberals changed or anything. No, they didn't change. It's just you grew up and you just learned more. The liberals never changed. The liberals been the same since Malcolm X said it back in the 60s.
More or less.
The worst thing in the Western Hemisphere is what? A white liberal. This is what he said. This is in the 60s. So nothing changed. It's just we're waking up right now, correct? We're just waking up. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll be out. And all I'm saying is that, hey, we appreciate everything that everybody's doing up there. All those things you're doing for us, we appreciate it. Keep steadfast with your word. That's what does the change on people. I got nephews. You know, I've been battling this for a long time. I've been talked about, hated. It doesn't matter. They hated Moses. But the thing about it is that I'm consistent with it. I'm so consistent that people now are starting to say, Charles, even my nephew hit me up. Guess what? What? I thought he was going to tell me he had a girl pregnant. I'm voting Republican.
Charles.
Now we're going to get my mother to do it. That's what he said. Now we're going to get my mother to do it. So be consistent in what you do. Be consistent. Your delivery, I understand that y'all talking about the delivery. Sometimes it get harsh, but be consistent with it. Be consistent.
Thank you.
I believe I disagree with Charles in a manner. He said that liberals haven't changed, and that's not true at all. They've gotten so much worse than they have before.
Agreed. Yeah, I disagreed with that too. Yeah, thank you.
I'm right here. 1 minute, okay? Okay. I only got 1 minute, so I'm going to talk fast. I wanted to start by saying this is my first time in a movie theater in over a year because I stopped going to the movies to support Hollywood since they don't like the state of Georgia.
Respect.
My quick WalkAway story is I'm from the Caribbean, where it's a 90% black population. Growing up, obviously, they voted Democrat. Although I'm older, I didn't vote until 2008. And I voted for the wrong reasons. I voted because it had a black man there. After I see what he was doing those first 4 years, I refused to vote for him, and I voted for Romney in 2012. When it came to 2016, I know for a fact I'm never ever voting Democrat again, but I couldn't really vote for Trump, not because of Trump, but because when you see the audiences, how they were treating someone that looks like me, a black woman, I took that personal, and I was in the middle. And I call myself politically homeless because I'm in the middle. And to speak on that, there are millions of people in the middle. And what Miss I'm Gonna Get Married Soon said, as an outreach for non-black people, please reach out to your people and let them know all black people aren't bad. When I walk around, because I live in Dallas, Georgia, in Walmart, you know, it's a majority white area. And they may not know that because I'm black, I actually claim myself conservative, you know, because I have conservative values. But it's up to people to make me feel welcome. And the last thing I wanted to say is about, I'm not a feminist, but what's gonna make me vote for a person in 2020 is whoever gonna stand up for people as a sex. We're not genders, we're a sex, and it's a lot going on if people don't know about this gender thing. And it's not LGBT because the LGB are disagreeing with the T. So I'm just, speak out. I know if anybody knows of any politician, if you have the air, reach out to them and let them know it's not about diversity for affirmative action, but diversity for a diversity of thought. They need those in their offices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I just say quickly too, like I really appreciate that point that you made. It's so nuanced that I would actually encourage people to watch the WalkAway LGBT town halls that we've done, including the LGBT Town Hall Los Angeles, which I think was our best one so far. We addressed these issues a lot, and it concerns me a lot as a gay person because our community, the LGBT community, has been co-opted by a cult, and it's not us. So believe me, we hate that SHIT just as much as you guys do, and believe me, I hate being blamed for it because it has nothing to do with being gay or lesbian or anything else. I am a gay man. I have a very clear gender, and I believe that there are two genders. So please don't get upset with the entire LGBT community because it's not us, it's a cult.
Okay, I'm up here.
How you doing? My name is Jihad, and I have a couple things I'd like to say real quick.
Are you from 1380?
Yes,
Are
sir.
you the one?
Yes,
are you
ma'am.
the jihad that calls in every time?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God! I finally put a face with it.
Now, just two quick comments to the young brother. When President Obama came in office, what was the state of the economy?
The economy was not looking good.
What was the state of the world economy?
2008, I'm not sure because I was 4 years old.
So then, well, you made a comment. You made a comment, would give the impression that you knew these things, because you said that when
I just said I looked at buildings.
You said there was nothing going on. that there was no development, there was no growth.
Because there wasn't any development. There wasn't any growth. The building stopped and waited a decade.
Okay. All right. And
let
to
you
the
finish,
brother
though.
who worked 8 jobs, 5 jobs. If you held 5 jobs.
Yes, sir, I did.
And you still was trying to collect welfare, then I have an issue with you.
I'll
And
love
I don't
to
know
hear
what
it.
type jobs you were working, but clearly if you're working 5 jobs, being paid, and you still went to the welfare office, then Democrats and Republicans have an issue with you at 19, 20, 21 years old.
I'd love to talk to you about it. Can I
Thank
give
you.
a chance to
Thank you.
respond, please?
Right. And then secondly, someone said, she said 30 seconds, she said that all black people are not something. But when I listened to all of the black stories, they were all pitiful stories.
I disagree.
Right? Well, you all
I
talked
disagree
about
with
coming
that.
from trauma.
I disagree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, my
You
story,
said your
I grew up
mother.
in a
You
really
said your
strong
mother
family.
kicked you out of the house. Right? There was one young lady who didn't talk about coming from trauma. The young lady in red. So if you give the people the impression that all of us, right, come from a traumatic situation, then I could understand why other people of color look at black people in the way they look at us. The reality of it is, they're black millionaire Democrats that employ people, correct? Correct?
There are.
There are, right. There are black Democrats that love family, that raise families, that have children, right?
A couple.
A couple. Is that ridiculous?
Well, you know, first I want to say there is nothing wrong with people sharing their stories. Your story is your legacy. So there's nothing wrong with that. Obama, when he ran, all he did was talk about trauma. He got up on that stage and said, I didn't have no daddy. It was like, it's still a hole in my heart because my daddy is gone. Obama did that. So there is nothing wrong. He's a Democrat. So there's nothing wrong with a bunch of conservatives up here that are sharing their story. Everybody loves to share their story. There is nothing wrong with that
Comedian.
at all.
Wow.
We didn't
Wait a minute,
say,
hold on. No,
we
wait
didn't
a minute,
say,
hold on.
We didn't say there was
Let me give you a
something.
chance to respond.
We didn't
Hold on, you did your talk, okay, and you asked questions. Now give us a chance to respond. We did
Please,
not
please
interrupt
do.
you, so please give
do.
us a chance to respond. Now you attacked my story.
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna tell you this.
Part of your story, just part of your story.
Okay, I'll give you that. But I'm going to tell you this. I did whatever I had to do. I was working under the table. A lot of the stuff wasn't paying me. I was counted for working at Wendy's, and I was working also at Woodworth's. Now, if you understand, you remember Woodworth's that used to be over there at 5 Point Station? Anybody from Atlanta? Okay, I was working there. But I was also working under the table, okay, and I was getting cash, okay? But then I had to report it, and I was honest. And I said, look here. Yes, I needed the help because I was sleeping in a crack house, bruh. Okay? I was sleeping in a crack house. And then I had to move up. So I took the help. And you got to understand, I was 18 years old. I was young. I did not understand. So I took the help. But when she told me, you got to come off, something happened to me. A light bulb hit. And I realized at that point, I no longer needed that assistance.
Bruh.
And I praise God for that because I did not know. I thought that's all I, wait a minute, I did not interrupt you.
Well,
I did not interrupt you.
Go ahead,
And
sir.
for you to sit here
Yes, sir.
and want to try to attack people's stories, I find you disingenuous for one.
Yes, sir.
And for two, I'm going to tell you this.
Yes.
Regardless of what you think,
Yes.
because it was people who thought just like you
Yes.
who told me to join the gangs.
Yeah.
It was people
There
who
you go
thought,
again.
wait a minute, hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. It was people who thought just like you, and are very limited, who want to attack folks for the blessings. Well, I'm sorry if you upset because I don't think like you, but I don't have to think like you. I can move forth on my own path that God has put me on, and I am proud of this country. Because honestly, bruh, it was people just like you that motivated me to get off my ass and do something and change my life.
Amen.
Brother, I worked a job when I was 14 or 15 years old.
Getting good. I'm so
currently-
happy. And I
hold
never
on, let me
attacked
finish,
you
let me
for
finish.
anything.
But let me
God
finish.
bless you.
Look, if I'm at 68 years old, worked a job,
It's okay.
at
It's
14
okay. We
or
should let him
15
talk.
years old,
We gotta let him talk.
then there had to be something in the midst of the society that said to me as a 14-year-old, go get a job and work, still respect my mother, still respect my father.
That's
Go
good.
get a job, go to school, play basketball, go to college, open a business, and do the things I did. All I'm saying is that we're doing too much generalities in the negative when there's a lot of positive stories on both sides.
Now, I can agree with
That's all I'm saying.
on that, but for people to sit here and tell you where they come from, because people like authenticity. It's a whole lot of fake people in the world who make up stuff. It's a whole lot of entertainers who act like they thugs and rappers, but they got high school degrees and went to college, but they want to dumb it down for the folks, okay? But you have to be authentic, okay, to talk to people. And I'm so happy, honestly, bro, once this is over, I would honestly love to sit down and talk with you more because I can appreciate the fact that you spoke your truth and said, I feel this way. And that's what WalkAway is all about, a diversity of thought. And so, wait a minute, stand up one more time. Stand up one more time. Because I want to, just like I got up and I said something negative to you, I'm going to say something positive. God bless you. Thank you. Because you worked and you are an example of what really makes America great, regardless of whatever political party you are from. This country helped you find a way to become successful. And on that, sir, we agree.
Amen. Amen.
We agree. We agree.
Okay. Sir?
My name is Gabriel. Good evening, everybody. I just have a couple of quick questions. How many black members of the Congressional Black Caucus are Republicans?
Well, there was Tim Scott. I know he's not going to run again, but I know Tim Scott was definitely a part of the Congressional Black Caucus, as well as Mia Love, who's no longer in office, but she was also a part of it as well. So there's definitely a need to run more African Americans on the Republican side.
How many are currently serving?
I'm sorry?
How many are currently serving?
One, Tim Scott.
Okay.
And William Hurd, is he still in? I think he's still. Yeah, I think William Hurd is still in. That's right, but he's still a part of it. But yeah, so as of currently serving is Tim Scott.
Out of how many representatives in total? It should be about...
Too many. Too
Right.
many.
Why is that? There's only
Because
one.
we need to run more African Americans on the Republican side.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what the question is, I think that's the answer. We need to run more black people on the Republican side.
No, that's not. I don't think that's the answer. I asked why there's only one now. I think that.
Well, you do realize the Congressional Black Caucus is made up of elected officials.
Right.
Okay.
So why?
Majority of the Congressional Black Caucus is Democratic because most of the African Americans that run for office run as Democrats.
Okay.
So therefore, right.
But the WalkAway movement just kind of started, didn't it?
No, actually, that's a misconception. So here's the thing. The WalkAway movement, as we know it, thank God for Brandon that made it a national platform, just started. But we were Republicans well before the WalkAway movement.
I'm not disputing that at all. I know that there's a rich history of black members of Congress that were Republicans after the Civil War, but I'm talking about right now, like today, today's times.
Yeah,
so.
no, I'm with you. I mean, if you're saying it's an issue with that, I totally agree. I think there needs to be more African Americans a part of the Congressional Black Caucus. I mean, to run for office.
It just seems odd that the ask here is for black people to join a party that doesn't look like them.
Well, that's not the ask. The ask is that you leave a party that's not supporting your community. Now, where you go, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's not the ask. The ask is not to become a Republican. We just happen to be that.
Okay, but just because you don't explicitly say join the Republican Party, like you have Trump all over the place, you have Christian conservative values all over the place, which I'm still trying to reconcile. Excuse me?
We have Trump all over the place in here.
In the little video you guys had, it was like
because they're Trump supporters. Okay.
And to be fair, he's the president right now.
Of course.
I mean, that's where you're talking about the current modern president. If he's not in office anymore, we'll take that out of the movie. I mean, he's the current president. and people are being
It's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
That's right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So? Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor.
Well, you know what? I'm not gonna tell anybody who to vote for and where to go, but I will. But you can come hang out with me over here and see how it is if you want. But I'm not telling you to join and vote for him. You know, or to vote conservative. But you come hang out with us.
But wait a
you
minute.
know,
Wait a minute.
if
I'm
you
sorry.
want.
There's a point I want to address that because I feel like you're not just coming right out and asking the thing that you want to ask,
Yeah.
which to me sounds like you're saying, you know, the Republican Party is so white, so why should black people want to come over? That's sort of what it sounds like to me, what you're saying, and I'm just going to make it about me for a second, say the Republican Party is also so straight. But whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that the Republican Party is so white and that it's so straight? Because whenever black people or gay people want to become Republicans, we get maligned and ridiculed and ostracized by our communities and told we don't belong, not by Republicans, by Democrats and liberals. So we're trying to create an environment where it's more acceptable and welcoming for people to have that choice. But it is not because of Republicans that the Republican Party is as white as it is or as straight as it is.
Yeah, and one thing I want to quickly add, because I put a video out on YouTube last week, and it's called When My Family Hates Me for Loving America. And I was counseling a young man who came from the AU Center, and he came out and told his family that he was voting for Donald Trump. Now, they already called him a sellout because he went to college. As stupid as this sounds, they called him a sellout because he went to college, because colleges get money from white people, so that makes going to college you serving the white man and getting the white man's education. And most of his cousins were, let's just straight up say it, dope boys and gangbangers, okay? It's a very, very sad situation. But he went back and he looked at the Falcons game with them last week, and he said, I still love my family. They jumped on him and they beat him up and he ran out of there. And so now he has left his family, he has cut off his Twitter, he has cut off his Facebook, and he has left the state. And he said, YG, I'll let you know when I'm safe, but I cannot even be around my family because if I say I want to do something different, if I even want to roll with the Republican Party for anything, they want to kill me. Okay, let's just get real with this, because this is real. A lot of black conservatives, we get attacked all the time. Sell out Coon, Uncle Tom, threaten me, talking about they're going to kill my kids. Let's get real with this, okay? And it comes from our own people. It comes from our own friends. It comes from our own family. Even one of my own family members told me, because 2 of my children got aborted in 1999. Howard and Hank. And they were my twins, and I loved them very much, by an ex-girlfriend. And one of my family members said, because you voted for Donald Trump, they deserve to get aborted back then. Real talk. This is family, someone I grew up with, someone I have looked up to for 40 years, love her to death. But because of the bitterness and the hatred of us just trying to do something different, going our own path. This is the path that I want to go, that where God is leading me. You will sell out, you will Uncle Tom, you will Coon, and you and your kids deserve death.
Sad.
That's real, bruh. That's why. That's why. And we got to stop that.
That's the environment.
And can I just say also that what irritates me about black people is that we don't like being told when we're wrong. Can we stop pretending like we don't see what's happening in our own communities? Can we stop pretending like we don't see that there are a lot of single mothers raising children right now because women decided to choose the government over their men? Can we stop pretending like we don't see that? Can we stop pretending like we don't see the black on black crime? Can we stop just playing games? And what makes me angry is because we take this mindset of whatever is done in the house stays in the house. We take that as if people don't see it. And then when people begin to point it out, like people like myself, I'm a coon, I'm a sellout. I'm just telling you what I see because this is the community that I grew up in. And listen, if you want to be swaddled in a blanket and rocked to sleep, I'm not the one that's going to do it for you. I'm going to tell you exactly the way I see it. And when I heard them telling their stories, I didn't hear them telling it like they were victims. I heard them telling their stories so that people can say, hey, this is what they went through, and I see that they overcame. And you know, it doesn't bother us when they continue to tell us and remind us of slavery. That don't bother us. I saw on a magazine when I pulled up to a restaurant the other day, 400 years a slave. Why are we still being fed that in 2019? Listen, every day I wake up and look in the mirror, I see a black woman. I know that I'm black every day. So I don't need to be reminded constantly that I was a slave. When I woke up this morning, there were no chains holding me. I was free.
Amen.
I was free to do what I want, free to think what I want, and free to say what I want. So I don't need somebody constantly reminding me of what my ancestors went through. I used to be a stripper, but guess what? When I wake up in the morning, when I look on my wall, I see dream, imagine, and believe. Although I used to be a stripper, I don't wake up every morning with something on the wall that say, throw that ass in a circle. I wake up with where I want to go and not where I used to be.
Come on.
Thank you. Amen.
That's definitely something.
No, I'm gonna say something quick because I argue with my friends a lot about this. Most of my friends are Democrats and they don't understand, or they act like they don't want to understand how I and why I think. And I say, well, I used to think like you. I mean, I thought that
I'm not a Democrat, first of all.
I thought this is walking away from the Democrat topic, right? This is walk away from the Democratic Party.
I'm just
but
making
okay,
sure that you're not insinuating anything.
so what I tell them is that, I mean, just follow the principles to the nth degree. So if the Democratic principles that they put out that you've seen, if they were able to be enforced 100%, like how would that look to you? Would you be comfortable with that? So one example is the whole, you know, the religion, Judeo-Christian thing, getting that out of our you know, schools and some of our common areas. Like if we completely disassociated with religion, like how would our country look? You know, that's what I ask them sometimes. So we talk about you know, being a welcoming society. Like what if we open our borders and actually allow that to happen? How would that really look? Like at the end of the day, how is that where you want to be? If we really do want to control our well, not control, but reduce our weapons systems and our military strength, to bring it under control, to be in line with other countries because we want to negotiate, you know, reducing our military capacity at the same level or rate as they do. Like, how would that really look at the end of the day? So if you ran democratic principles all the way to the nth degree, if they were all able to be enforced, is that really how you want America to look? And when you look at it that way, you tend to shy away a little bit from some of the rhetoric that you hear on the Democratic side. I think that is a good a driver to move people away from that. I think it makes sense to me, and that really helps open up the eyes of folks that I talk to.
I think, well, to your point about defense, I mean, my father just retired from 30 years of active duty service in the Air Force, so I'm sure you understand. But America's defense spending outspends, I think, the next 10 to 15 countries combined. So
and I wish it was more than that, to be honest with you, because that's our primary way of protecting our freedom. Yeah. I'm okay with spending more money on that. And Janelle and I, we just came from visiting my alma mater, and our general, female commandant that's taken over, she came from the administration, and you know, she made a comment that our readiness had been depleted over the last several years, and that we're finally we're finally routing money to improve that. Like, to me, that's important. You know, it's not going to be talked about in the streets or whatever, or at a restaurant, but that's important to America. Those are the principles that we value, that I value, and that's why I vote the way I vote.
Yeah. All right.
She's got
Yeah.
She's got
Yeah.
These guys have been waiting a long time. But
Yes. The last thing I wanted to know is that seeing all of the, I guess, the conservative values and things like that, how are you as a homosexual man able to kind of reconcile that? Because I work with a lot of LGBT people, and it just kind of, I don't know, the response that they receive from these conservative Christian values normally isn't favorable, or you know, it normally endangers them.
No, I think it's a really reasonable question. So my answer to that is that, first and foremost, I think that the world at large, America at large, has changed on this issue. I don't think that homophobia exists in this country the way that it used to exist even 5-6 years ago or before. And I think that the majority of Republicans just don't really care that much about this issue anymore. Now, there are some that do, and I even get messages sometimes in my DM, you know, on not very often, this is very rare, but I mean, I do get messages sometimes that are, you know, disappointing to say the least. But here's the thing. All I ever wanted in my whole life as a gay man was equality under the law. I wanted to know that I couldn't get fired from my job because of my sexual orientation, that I could go down to City Hall if the day ever comes that anybody wants to marry me, that I could go down to City Hall and sign a civil marriage contract the same way that a straight couple can sign a civil marriage contract. And at this point, and where we are in America today, I have the same equality under the law as anybody else. What difference does it make to me at this point if somebody approves or disapproves of the fact that I'm gay? It simply doesn't matter anymore, because I have equality under the law. That's all I really care about.
We'll get back to you on that one.
Right, I don't believe in separate but equal, and I didn't agree with separate but equal when people.
Right.
We need to.
Right, we're not there anymore.
Yeah, it's not 1890.
Bring it, Shelly. Bring it, Shelly.
I want everybody to realize, look around, you have black and white people sitting together. Okay, this is not the 1940s, 50s. It's a black man sitting up front. I'm sitting up front. You could not do that long time ago, okay? It's over with.
It's done.
This man has a question right here.
Yeah, let's mix up and come back. You can ask some more questions at the end. Thank you.
I'm a black man sitting up front. And
thank you, Rosa Parks.
I'm actually the current chairman for the Gwinnett County Republican Party.
Yes, he is.
And so to that, you know, hold on. So with that, half the panel that's up here, you guys have come to Gwinnett County and been in some of our functions, and I appreciate that. And for the rest of you that are here, I'd like to invite you to come out. And anytime you want to be in Gwinnett County and do your thing, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So, next, my question is to the panel. In talking about everything that's going on and the WalkAway movement and all of that stuff, when you look at where we've been and where we're trying to get to, I know that sometimes when I was in the military and doing, you know, the combat stuff, you know, sometimes you have to knock on the door and get people to open it, and sometimes you have to kick the door in. And I think right now we're at the point of having to kick the door in.
I agree.
Versus knocking on the door. So my question to the panel is, where do we go? How do we start kicking in those doors and stop having the, oh, woe is me conversations and say, you know what, look at this bull that you guys are dealing with on the other side. We got to change that.
Can I take this
And
one
so
first?
so when we talk about walking away, yes, I'm telling you, walk away from the Democratic Party and join the Republican Party, and let's fix this thing.
So can I answer your question first? So how you get to these markets where the door is closed is you get through what they're paying attention to. And so I know by the time some people may see this video, it might already be out of date, but right now there's this thing going on called the hashtag MAGA Challenge. It's where you rap to a beat that this the guy that had the huge MAGA hat and Trump War Room tweeted it out. He made this song, and then you can hop on and make your own verse to this song. And then you can release this song publicly, put it out anywhere, and you have your own MAGA conservative rap out there. And so that's how you really get into those markets that they're paying attention to. And that also applies to Generation Z. So if you want to get out there, get on YouTube, get on Instagram, make your voice heard where they're listening.
Well, I think we kicked the door down by running for office. So now, mind you, I'm not planning to run for office. I'm gonna leave that to him. I know, right, for the chairman. But I will say, I think it's running for office. But here's the thing, when you do see, okay, two things. For Black Republicans, when it's time to run for office, prep, vet, do everything necessary. Do not just jump up and decide you want to just run for office, right? So, do what's necessary to prepare yourself for what a actual campaign run looks like, because it is hard and it's grueling, and you need to be prepared. You can't get mad at white people who won't give you money just because you're running for office and you're Black and you're the minority. That's got to go away, number one. Number two, if you are prepared and ready to run for office, on the flip side, we have to support Black candidates. We have to push Black candidates out there, because what the gentleman said actually is right. Honestly, I don't have an issue with any of the question that came from Jihad or the gentleman here. I think they are very valid questions, very valid points. We can't be afraid to talk about it. It's very clear, and you're absolutely right. There needs to be more African Americans in the Congressional Black Caucus. It is absolutely ridiculous. And the people that are there that's been in for so long need to leave anyway, but that's a whole different discussion. So I think kicking down the door is simply actually putting ourselves out there. No longer, now mind you, it's great that we knock on doors for campaigns. It's great that we make phone calls and we encourage Black people to vote Republican or vote, period. But we have got to get out there and get in front of it at some point so we can show the generation like Chandler that's coming up that Black Republicans do run for office and that we can hold leadership positions and that we are not we're more than just simply being individuals who knock on doors.
Amen.
Okay, thank you. How many more questions do we have, just out of curiosity?
This lady right here has been, wow.
She's been waiting?
Yep.
I'm gonna do her, and then I'll come back. Was that okay? Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Madeline. I have a question for you and you, Brandon, whoever's not seeing who I'm pointing to. Nonetheless, when you said we need to be authentic when we go down into the Black communities that are, and there's not just Black people that are doing poorly in certain communities. Okay, talking to them on something they can understand, being real, authentic, whatever you want to call it. I'm very much a person that's about resolution. I think it's a source of evolution. So what do we need to do? There needs to be some sort of grassroots or it's not going to end.
No, I'm totally for grassroots. I did grassroots my entire time. I continue to do grassroots. People in here can vouch for the fact that I am all about grassroots. I'm totally with grassroots. What I'm saying when I talk about going into these communities and having these real conversations is acknowledging. So if you're in a community that's affluent and it's African American or whatnot, predominant African American, that's a different discussion. But what I see more important, more than anything else,
the crime infested, the drug infested, those communities.
Great, me too.
And
That's
people
what
that
I'm
are not
referring
willing
to
to come up and want to stay victim.
Well, see, that's okay. If I may, for the sake of making sure that we walk out of here with full understanding, the statement that you just made about that they don't want to come up is the reason why.
I meant victimhood. I didn't mean financially. Just staying in victimhood, maybe.
Well, okay.
Thinking.
Staying in victimhood, not wanting to come up, any of those statements.
And it's not to say that there's not good people in those areas, because there are.
No, so I am totally with you. If I just complete the sentence, I promise you'll get where I'm coming from. The point I'm making is, when you make certain statements like that, you're categorizing the community, whether you think you are or not. And that is where the damage is done. Because I promise you, no one wants to stay in victimhood. I promise you. It may sound like people defend where they live simply because that's all they know. But it's not necessarily mean that's where they want to stay. Because we're a prime example of individuals who did not want to stay where we were. So I think it's just being careful with that. Everything you said, I've heard before. It's so easy to do. It's so easy. When we say privilege to white people, we're doing the exact same thing. It's no different. It's just that we got to be mindful that we don't categorize people based on what we see. But all I'm saying is get to know that person. When you knock on their door, don't lead with your pamphlet. Lead with, ask a couple of questions like, hey, how are you doing? How was your day? Are you working? If you are, how was work today? Be normal, be human, and don't
Can anybody just walk up to people's doors and just say these
Yes.
things? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I think that's what I meant by
that's a great
grassroots. If it was a matter of maybe a march and everybody, breaking off in different,
we don't
directions
march.
and talking.
But no marching. Just be normal. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm totally.
I just mean like getting together and approaching different people along the way.
I totally agree. But just be normal. Be human.
Okay.
Yeah. Before you ask your second question, someone mentioned something back there. Scott Presler, he's a really good example. He's all the way out there, everywhere. He's traveling across the country, getting the message out. And I'm sure Brandon knows Scott Presler.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, so that's a good example if you want to learn more about that and see what to do if you want to do that. Yeah, he does trainings. I've been to one. I made a video about one. But yeah, definitely watch his trainings. See if you can maybe go to one. Did you hear about the Baltimore cleanup a few months back?
I did.
Yeah, he did that. That was him.
Okay, awesome.
So.
Yeah, I watched that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And Brandon, I'm in Atlanta, and I live in the city. And quite frankly, if I got up right now and left and headed to Midtown and walked down the street with this shirt on, I'm going to catch a lot of hell, quite frankly, from LGBT, which I've always had friends from the 80s that were gay. As I like to say, I love my gays. Yeah. But I've noticed a big transition, obviously, in the hate towards this type of stuff, Trump, anything that seems, away from the Democratic, narrative. Right. So I'm just trying to figure out how to bring it together to where it's peaceful and not feeling like they need to attack or I'm not attacking them. Just like something reasonable. I try to bring up facts, and I'm met with a lot of emotion, and I just don't know how to get around it sometimes. Should I just not worry about it and walk down the street and not worry about it if I get my ass kicked?
Well,
or
okay.
do I try to, make some sort of bridge? And what would be your best? What would be the word?
Advice.
Advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Listen. Okay. So. Yeah.
It's the WalkAway.
She's wearing a WalkAway shirt. Yeah. Just the hashtag WalkAway shirt. Yeah. So I encourage people all the time to be a little bit bolder and a little bit braver than they've previously been. Believe me, I know it's so much easier said than done. For instance, I get mad at myself sometimes for being a hypocrite because in certain situations, I want to wear my MAGA hat, right? And that's even worse. The MAGA hat's like the holy grail of the thing you don't wear. The WalkAway's even a little bit lower on the totem pole. But like there are times when I need to run a certain errand or something, and I know that it's something that might be difficult anyway. Going through airport security is a prime example. I'm always like, do I want to wear my MAGA hat when I go through airport security? Because it's like I hate going to the airport anyway, and it's like, is this just going to make it harder or whatever? But it's like we really have to make a decision here, and I talk about this all the time. 2020 is the most pivotal election that many of us are ever going to see in our lifetimes. And it's like we have to start asking ourselves, what's going to feel worse? The temporary discomfort that we feel when somebody snarls at us or calls us a name or engages with us in a way that we don't like because we're trying to make a statement, saying you're not alone, you can walk away or you can support the president or whatever. Or if we lose in 2020, God forbid, because the media has such a stranglehold on everything. They're convincing everyone. And it's funny that this topic has hardly even come up tonight because the vast majority, I think, of the cases of racial minorities or LGBT people or whatever thinking that they don't have a choice in this country or that everyone on the right is a racist or a bigot, or that, or that you will be ostracized if you break free from the herd and the hive mind. It's the media. It's all the media doing that. So we have to put a human face on the fact that there are a lot of us, and we're very diverse. Look around the room. I guess, yes, wear your shirt. Yes, wear your shirt.
But you know what? I would say safety first. I tell people wear your hat, wear your shirt, but you need to, safety first, because I grew up in certain areas.
Right.
Okay, I might have a $20,000 chain on. I'm not wearing that in that certain area because I know what's gonna happen. Okay, safety first. Okay, you can wear that shirt. You wear it to Walmart where there's cameras and maybe security or something. But safety first. Don't go to the hood with that on. That by yourself. That's all I'm saying. You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
The fact that we even have to have this conversation, it's insane.
Okay.
Needs to be said, though.
So mine is really quick. To your point about being afraid, my hesitation with kind of claiming to walk away is, the platform of the Republican Party still states marriage is between a man and a woman. So I wanted to know your thoughts on that, and I wanted to know the people of color on the panel, what your thoughts are about that and repealing that from the platform. And also, I'm not a Trump fan, full disclosure. I do, however, want to give him credit for something, in that the number one threat to LGBT people in this world right now is radical Islamic terrorism and the execution and stoning of gay people around the world by radical people of the Islamic faith. So I just wanted to kind of know to the panel what your thoughts are about that, and are you willing to have those conversations as Black Republicans in the party about being more friendly toward people like me that are still considering myself, I don't really consider myself a Democrat or a Republican. I'm still just kind of in that weird phase where I'm still
politically
coping
homeless
with it. Yeah, coping with it, so to say.
Well, I'll take it. I'll start first, since, So the way I look at it when it comes to, first of all, I have a number of friends who are gay. And we had this discussion all the time. And where we come to an agreement is that we respect each other's view. So whether I feel one way or they feel another way, there's still a mutual respect. So me personally, I do believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. That's a personal thing for me. That is not something that I push in policy, so to speak, because it goes back to what Brandon was saying about having the civil liberties and rights. I believe everybody has a right to do whatever they want to do. I'm gonna be honest, I personally do not care who you love.
Yeah.
I just don't. Yeah. I don't. Now, do I believe the person as a believer in Christ that is what I want to stand on as it relates to marriage in general? I personally stand on that marriage is between a man and a woman. But that doesn't mean that I think that all gays are going to hell. That doesn't mean that I think that, gays or I hate gays, or I don't think that you should, do whatever you want to do. That's just a personal belief. The beauty of America and what we're all saying is that you can believe whatever you want to believe, and to have the freedom to do that and to vote however you wish to vote. Will I go and I pray to God it doesn't come to a time where we have to pull a lever that's strictly on, whether gays should be married or not. I don't think that's ever. Well, what I mean by that is I hope that it does not remain, or that is the only issue on the platform.
Right.
And that's where I look at it like, okay, this may be a personal belief for me, but I also believe that you can love whoever you want to love. Yeah. So it's not, it's just when we talk about the Bible is one thing. When you talk about how you live your life, I think you should have the choice to live your life however you want to live your life. That doesn't mean that, I am gonna, go and burn the gay flag, I mean, it's not that. So again, that's how I reconcile it. And my gay friends love me the way I am, and I love you just the way you are, and I love you too. So. Thank you.
You know, there's something about, I think, just like I said before, you know, when marriage equality was a political debate, it was a wedge issue, and when we didn't have the right to do that, to be really honest with you, your opinion would have hurt me a lot. The statements that you, just simply what you said right now would have hurt me a lot. I don't care now. Like, I don't care. Like, we can wrap up this event and you and I can go have drinks and like have a, like, I do not care. You know, and also, by the way, not only do I not care, I respect the way that you feel. Because I know that you don't feel that way because you think there's something wrong with me or whatever. You just have a biblical view of marriage. And it doesn't matter because we have the right to go to City Hall and do that. It's fine. Like, it just doesn't matter.
Thank you so much, Brandon, and everyone on the panel. I admire you. I'm your fans, biggest fans, okay? My name is Michele Bartholomew. I am a Black Republican. I've never been on the plantation, so I never had to walk away, okay? Never, you know. But my family, of course, are stern Democrats, and my mother was the president of the NAACP in Louisiana, where I'm from, the Gulf Coast of Louisiana. And it really bothers me about the way that we were raised as Black Christians to uphold conservative values, but then when it comes to voting, it's an entirely different set of values. And I could never connect those two things in my mind because I'm a realist. You know, I'm not a, person that believes in imaginary world. I believe that to live exactly the way that you believe, vote the way that you believe. And I just want to thank everyone who is Black who came out to even ask questions here, because this is what this is all about. Now, amen. Thank you, and thank you for even questioning, because see, what the Democrat Party does not want you to do is question and ask questions, because see, it was the Democrat Party that created slaves. They made slaves, and they want to continue to have you as slaves. They want you to be now a voting base of slaves, and that is true, okay? Now, what I want to address to my white friends and family here, that I love you so much, I love my Black family so much, and I want my Black family to know that it was white people that came down from North America and fought in the Civil War to free Black people, okay? Yes, it did happen. So no, it wasn't just the white man, it was the Democratic Party that kept us in bondage. Now, to my white people of 2019, okay, we need to bridge the gap between the Republican Party and Black people, okay? They think that you're racist. I know you're not, okay? I don't have a problem with white people. I grew up with white people. My best friends were white. Grew up with them since little kids. I have white family members. I have no problem, but everybody don't have my story. We need to be more friendly and welcoming to the Black community, create grassroots movements and activism to include the Black community. So that's what I have to say. I'm not trying to preach to anyone, but I'm very passionate about this, because if we don't acquiesce this moment, if we don't seize this opportunity that we have, we will lose this country. And I want everybody to have a healthy fear in their heart that we could possibly lose this country and we will all be slaves, Black and white.